Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston, and bringing you today another show with Ray Solano, my great sponsor and friend and mentor from up in Cedar Park, Texas, with PD Labs, compounding pharmacy that's known nationwide. And we are going to talk a little bit about Alzheimer's today. Alzheimer's is a huge concern for folks, and it should be because it is a growing problem. But I think too many times, Ray, and you may agree, that we focus a little bit too much on, just how to find that right lab test and how to diagnose it. But this is a disease that starts early, and there are a lot of things that we can do to control the risk factors or to try to decrease the risks and development of it. Maybe we can prevent a little bit. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on today.
Welcome in. As always, I love having you on because you've always got such a wealth of interesting information. All of my patients and my listeners tell me that these are one of their favorite shows. So, again, I always appreciate you being on. So what's the latest and greatest on Alzheimer's?
Well, if you look at all the literature, and the literature for Alzheimer's, unfortunately, has been driven toward removing these things called amyloid plaques in the brain. And so all the pharmaceutical companies have done something to remove these amyloid plaques, and that's the answer.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that's about it. And to let people understand that amyloid plaque is almost like a scab on top of a wound.
Right.
Okay. And if you take away the scab of the wound, you still have the wound.
Exactly. Thank you.
And so it's very similar. So what they have done is focused all the research on these plaques that form in the brain and realize that's what's causing the problem. And we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you look to the root cause, the plaques are being formed because of inflammatory lesions that have been actually enabled metabolically. Right. So the body's reacting to this inflammation by putting these plaques on these neurons and dangling them all and putting them together. And this is the reason why they're confounded when they do autopsies, because unfortunately right now the only way to really determine autism is an autopsy. Right. Is they see the plaques in some of these people's brains, and sometimes they have some of them they don't see them in there. Right. So they're chasing the wrong area, we feel.
As usual.
And because there's a lot of money in pharmaceuticals to reduce the plaques. Right. We feel that there's some other things you can do, because this is such a debilitating disease. Absolutely. And it starts with dementia and then it ends up as Alzheimer's. And we feel that it probably takes place 20 years prior to when it is advanced. Exactly. That's a long time from now. Right. So for many people, it's a lifetime. Oh, well, I don't really care. So, but there are some risk factors that people can to look at. One, we feel very strongly that there's genetic predispositions. If you do genetic testing, that you have the ApoE and ApoE4 genetic markers, that these genetic tests mean you're at risk. They're saying that's at risk. So if you're overweight and you have high blood pressure and you have coronary artery disease, these genetic SNPs can be expressed, which allows the floodgates to open. Right. And so what you have to understand is looking at some of those risk factors. And genetics, there's a big article in the Wall Street Journal this weekend about the centenarians, people that live to 100. Yeah. How do they live to 100? And actually, they're pointing to genetics more than anything else. But the point is that their genetics, like Warren Buffett, they can eat anything they want, okay? And they have no blood pressure problems. They don't have any blood sugar problems at all, because unfortunately, they're wired that they can take out the trash very easily. All right. Well, that's not everybody, and there's about a good 10% of the population that this affects too. So unfortunately, if you're in that camp, you may have to forego all those pizza commercials, all those fast food commercials, and all the, maybe the
Coca-Cola,
tremendous quantities of alcohol that you want to drink on the weekend. So unfortunately, you don't have a choice. So we went for those people, we really want, there are some solutions. And one of the things, I just came back from International Association of Clinical Pharmacists meeting that Jim LaValle started years ago up in Fort Worth. And, you look at some clinical pearls, what we found out. Did you know that high iron levels can be detected on a blood test, have a high correlation to neurological dysfunction, including Alzheimer's?
Wow, no. And Jim has spoken about it before. But interesting. So high iron.
High iron levels.
So what does that mean, though, high iron levels? Because, people will take their own laboratory and, look at the reference ranges and maybe miscalculate that a bit.
We don't know. It's just trending high, and high iron levels that are, depending on where the labs are, that means that's a clue. And you add that clue in with other factors that may be. But having high iron levels is not a positive thing to have in the people's blood test.
Gotcha.
So I didn't really, we didn't really understand. You're looking for simple things. There are some amino acids that are out of balance that are found in some simple urine tests and some blood tests that can give some clues. So with a skilled practitioner like yourself, you can be able to look at some of these trending and some of these risk factors, and then if the person is 50 or 60 pounds overweight and they have high blood pressure and they have these other things, and then they realize they have so much of these factors all together that they're putting themselves on course. By the way, do your parents suffer from this? Do you have? Oh yes, if they answer yes to all these questions, you have to put them on a very regimented, I say the word diet. I don't really mean diet. I really mean a lifestyle change. Lifestyle change to be able to get them to get their attention. And sometimes they may not want to. But often, you and I both know that having such a debilitating disease is so difficult for everybody else around you.
Absolutely.
It's not the way to go.
Many times patients will come with a lot of brain fog, memory problems, early on, kind of 50s, 60s. And, the patient themselves are sitting in the room stating they're concerned about their memory. And I talk with them a little bit about how, honestly, you really don't notice yourself the memory changes that start to occur with Alzheimer's. Most patients actually live in kind of a la-la land, so to speak, where they really don't notice it. It's their loved ones and people around them that start to notice first. And, we'll start to mention, hey, are you, your memory seems to be slipping a little bit. You doing okay? And patients are like, no, I'm good. My memory is fine. When patients talk to me about themselves, that they're having memory issues, most of the time that is some sort of metabolic inflammatory, something going on, hormonal, something like that they're experiencing. But when you start to notice your loved one changes, that's when I really get concerned about it. That's very anecdotal. That's kind of a clinical thing that I've noticed over the years. It starts, in about their 40s or 50s, and then we know then by what you're saying that this is going on maybe 10 years, before. And so this is a process for those who are experiencing changes now. Let's not look at it as too late, but that may be where you make some other interventions about trying to get rid of the amyloid plaques or whatnot. But for those who are young, starting early, taking a look at diet, exercise to improve blood flow around the brain, controlling blood sugars. We know blood sugars is the insulin resistance is a huge issue as well. These are things that you've got to pay attention to young and prevent. You bring up often that the Halloween season starts, the Super Bowl of sugar.
Super Bowl of sugar. It starts.
It starts now. Here we are. Getting ready to hit it. Why are people so resistant to making changes in their lifestyle?
We realize we have a specialty pharmacy. We have over 32 staff members in our pharmacy, and it's kind of an incubator of everybody because it's different age groups. Right. And when you're 20 and 30 years old, you're bulletproof, and absolutely, it's really ironic when you start looking at it, because foods and treats are so embedded in our social tolerance or social, how should I say, behavior, that denying those is considered some sort of penalty. As if right. So it's been a reward since we were 3 or 4 years old. They have to have this candy. It was 100 years ago. It was a treat.
Yeah.
Now it's considered a meal.
Right.
Okay. It was never ever consumed to 2.5 pounds of sugar per person per year. Wow. I mean, that was never supposed to be like that.
No.
So it's really quite, we do an experiment. We sit there and put this huge bag of candy from Costco as on the table. And it's amazing. All of a sudden it's gone right. in a day, and you look at it and go, who's going to consume all this stuff? Right. But it's so true, and unfortunately, when we have so many spectrum disorder kids, 1 out of 100, Halloween and all of that high fructose corn syrup and all the other is probably the scourge of parents. And it's just really unfortunate. We just can't afford it as a society. So you know what? If your kids have to do the Halloween thing, buy their candy back from them. Make them be capitalists.
Right. That's a great idea, actually. And the reward system is built in, and I think the industry has participated in that. Back in the 90s when we had the Hands Across America, Feed Africa, right. All the issues, that was actually to subsidize farmers. It wasn't really that we were we are concerned about Africa and all, and world hunger, but it was really brought about to subsidize farmers who were starting to, fail financially in their crops. And so with all the genetic modifications, we grew bigger heads of corn, we grew it out of season. Then we had an overabundance of corn, and that's where we came up with high fructose corn syrup then to get rid of those stores and subsidize the farmers again. And now we have built in a dopamine reward system that is much like cocaine or heroin or gambling, right. Smoking, anything else, alcohol, anything else that's out there. And now we have a society that is addicted to sugar, much in the way that we have alcoholism or other illicit drugs or whatnot, but it's legal and it's advertised and it's encouraged. And it's such a shame because this is the basis of all these inflammatory disorders that you and I talk about and try to prevent and teach. But it's a very dangerous world we live in with just simply sugar on board on the table. You go
sugar. And so if you're going to have it as a treat, fine, but just don't stock it in the house.
Right. But
Make it very simple. If you have it in the house, just get rid of it. Throw it in the trash, get rid of it, whatever, because the temptation is too much when you have it at your house.
Right, yeah, it's
now, if you have it outside, you have to purchase it. That's a different story. But when it's in the house, it's easy to combine those items. So right. that's the first step is just not to have it, yeah. and to realize that high fructose corn syrup doesn't really have any place in our metabolic consumptions at all.
Yeah.
So you start to become
calories
really critical of labels.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So really make good food choices. And then also, I want to something that you've been involved with as well to really help with the inflammation of the brain. Mm-hmm. This is something that we have worked on for over 10 years. Jim Laval developed the ginsenoside R3, the RG3 molecule, and be able to commercialize it into a nasal spray. And it also now it's in a chewable form.
Yes.
that stops the inflammation in the brain that we have found to increase cognitive improvement and awareness. And this is the new bottle. Have you seen the new bottle?
It's so pretty.
Lately?
I love it. Yes, you sent
like
me
that?
a couple. I'm on it every day.
It's the only first chewable form that's been on the market, a completely patented process that takes an insoluble compound,
right,
and it is chewed and it's absorbed systemically, or in a form that's much different. The new technologies today are having different delivery methods of these molecules.
Yes,
and it's so much nicer to have natural medicine that influences many times these biochemical reactions in our brain. So this is something that, I personally do every day. I've been doing the nasal spray because we have to consume everything that we make. Right. So that's why the back of my hand has no hair. The other hand has lots of hair. And so we make, when the pH is wrong, we burn our nose. We do eye drops. We have eye drops. I couldn't see out of one eye for a couple of days one time. So this is, if it's safe, we try it on ourselves first.
That's right. You guys really do a great job. And I don't want to slide by that synapsin, though. We only got about a minute and a half left, but I really want people to understand this is a fantastic molecule that you guys have developed here, because this has been used by the NFL. It's in I think it's a molecule. It's in the NFL Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken. Correct.
There's a lot of post PTSD patients, people that have had traumatic brain injuries, concussions.
Absolutely.
People that have had automobile accidents.
Yes.
It's a tool. Okay. Right. There is not another tool that sometimes is a combination of 3 items that we're putting together.
Absolutely.
That are exciting, but we don't want people to suffer, number one. We want to give people hope, number 2. And number 3, we want to give them kind of a roadmap to work on. Right. And this is something that we really work hard at our clinic and work very closely with you.
Absolutely.
So people can be able on a track for healing.
Absolutely. And we'll talk more about that coming around on the other side. I want people to know where they can find you at pdlabsrx.com. And you can go to my site as well, drpbetterlife.com. We've got all of our shows tacked on there and all the information where they can find you and so much more. So let's come back on the other side of the break and talk a little bit more about it, and be right back.
Hi, this is Ray Solano with your Healthy Choices Minute, sponsored by Prescription Dispensing Labs. New research has concluded that implementing dietary changes could prevent gut inflammatory processes involved in some chronic diseases. Modulation of your gut microbes through diets enriched with vegetables, legumes, grains, nuts, and a higher intake of plant over animal foods has a potential to prevent intestinal inflammatory conditions at the core of many chronic diseases. In short, the foods we eat in our dietary patterns have a major influence on our immune system that can cause many conditions we are suffering from today. Solution: try our OptiMeal shake. Our team has developed the best tasting, healthiest shake you've ever experienced to control blood sugar and to improve your gut. Start your day today with a healthy choice. Call us today at 888-909-0110 for a free sample of the OptiMeal shake. 888-909-0110. Remember, you have a choice in healthcare.
Everybody, welcome back to The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston here with Ray Solano from PD Labs up in Cedar Park, Texas, near Austin. And we've been talking a little bit about Alzheimer's and neuroprotection. We talked a little bit about Ray's product, the Synapsin LPT, fantastic product for neuroregeneration, neuroprotection. But we got off there it is, that pretty little bottle right there. Good stuff, guys. Really good. One of the things that, we kind of alluded to was that Alzheimer's and neurological problems are caused by diabetes type 3, which most most people have not heard of. And, diabetes type 1, where you have to take insulin, diabetes type 2, where you have insulin, but you're insulin resistant. And so I've been working with Ray and the pharmacy up there with semaglutide and tirzepetide on weight loss and treating patients who are insulin resistant, not yet diabetic, which is what the medications are approved for through the FDA for diabetes. But we know, and they know as well, that there's a great ability to control weight. But in doing this weight loss program for about the last 10 months, my patients have lost, Ray, I don't know if you know, but doing the math, combined almost 1,800 pounds have been lost this year in my clinic.
Wow.
I haven't done that in 23 years with patients, but what we really want, and you and I talked about, we really want to harp on is that there is a right way to do this. And not only are, we've been prescribing the medications, but I've been working after hours from 5 till 10 o'clock at night. That's after clinic, on Zoom calls and telemedicine calls with these patients, trying to teach them how to live right and eat right and do this the right way. I have lost 180 pounds in my, 6-year history now of, I was 300 pounds, now down to 119, soaking wet. But didn't mean to do that, but still arrived there. But, there's a way to do this, and the coaching and things like that are very important. And that is to, not only treat just weight problems, but hopefully a future for patients to decrease their, inflammation, the high sugars, and, patients who are checking their sugars or not checking their sugars. People are running elevated blood sugars and don't realize it. And this is a tool that has helped patients to lose weight and to turn their lives around. It's a lot of weight, don't you think?
I think that's great news. And so we appreciate the work that you've done. And it's not easy. Weight loss is probably the most difficult part of medicine, period.
Absolutely.
And this is the reason why so many people come in and leave so quickly. And unfortunately, the really tough cases you get and all the other ones. So it's not a simple solution. And there's a lot of side effects for this because the body doesn't like losing weight. Right. It really enjoys it. You have to restart the engine or the tuning of the fuel that they use. Right. So this is the reason why it's a long process, and you need a practitioner that's skilled like yourself to be able to work with them. Mm-hmm. This is not something you buy off the online and take it. If you do, there's a really good chance you're going to get bad side effects, and it's all going to come back later on. And that's the scary part. These people cannot afford to gain all their weight back, plus some. Right. And they're hopeless because it should be very scary for a lot of people.
And that's what they've been doing anyway all this time, with phentermine or keto diets or, whatever they're doing and, driving their muscle off and not really losing fat, slowing down their metabolism. Can happen.
Key metabolism markers. So it's really important to get that right fuel blend correct. Teach them how to eat prior to the correct amount of supplements with this. Right. So the drug, you can have, most of the side effects are because the people are giving too much drug. Right. And so the drug came out for type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we've adapted it to weight loss. Yeah. And so, yes, you can get increased dosage, but you have to be patient with it. And if you realize this is really a temporary fix, wouldn't you say?
Temporary, absolutely temporary. This is not to stay on and
stay on it. So you can have a maintenance level. We don't know what those maintenance levels are. We as compounding pharmacists, we could definitely put a little bit of a twist to this later on to have the maintenance levels very, very small, small doses. But I think it's important to have the exercise, movement, to keep that metabolic engines going. Yes. If that muscle mass is gone, sarcopenia, all the conditions that we find as later on, it's not it's not conducive to a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely. So there's a way to do this and do it correctly.
Do it correctly. So having it go through your clinic, going through your consultation in combination with training, it's one of those things, pay me now or pay me later.
Right. True.
If it's a couple $100 program, well, you're going to get what you pay for. And I just really see so many problems with some of these clinics that are just popping up just take medication.
Absolutely.
So, and unfortunately, the government comes in at the last minute and makes sweeping changes because of claims. So that's not what we do. Right. It's really important. So congratulations to you and all the work you've done.
Thanks. It's been wonderful. It's very gratifying. This is one of the best times in medicine right now, is to watch people start changing their lives and do it the right way. And it's been wonderful. And thanks for your support in that. So, we are coming up on the end of this one. Tell everybody where they can find you and your information.
Well, check us out at pdlabsrx.com, pdlabsrx.com. We specialize in special compounded medications that are for many chronic conditions like mold, Lyme, and also with many of the chronic conditions for men's health that are problems for. So check us out. We definitely give you the simple solutions, most practical solutions that nobody else is willing to do. Because guess what? It's difficult, and we take care of patients on a nationwide basis. So check us out, pdlabsrx.com.
Absolutely true. There's only one reason why, and everybody who knows me knows very well, there's only one reason why I align with anybody, and that is because they do it right. And that is what PD Labs does. So I appreciate you, Ray, so much. And then everybody go to drpbetterlife.com. You can find all of my previous shows, all of our previous shows for Ray and I. We've done this a couple years now. And so take a look, drpbetterlife.com. Ray, thank you. Have a blessed week, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.